Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show on this beautiful, beautiful morning of December 2nd, 2025. It's been a cold, rainy morning. A cold, rainy morning. And unfortunately, I had to get out there and get in it. I had to go to my daughter's school, and that was unplanned, and take care of a few things. I've been fighting a terrible sinus infection right along in there. Thank goodness it was right along in there and not up in here. I wouldn't have been able to function. But anyway, I had did some show prep last night and yesterday and last night. And I was primarily going to pick up where I left off with the college football rivalry week, going into conference championship week. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was baffled on a few things, which we're going to get into. As well as some things I just don't understand. Like I said, we'll get into all that. But on the way to my daughter's school this morning, it was. I'm not gonna talk about all that crap. I hadn't planned on it, and I really don't want to get into a rambling session. But I'll just say this: I was listening to a morning news show out of Birmingham that I listen to every morning, and talking about AI, a little bit of politics, etc. And two things that caught me. He had mentioned something about he was wanting to attend a, a high school playoff game in Birmingham 2 or 3 weeks ago, prior to Thanksgiving. So he went to two of his preferred AI things. I don't know which AI he uses, but one of them told him that neither team that he wanted to watch that Friday night were playing. The other AI told him that one of the teams. I wish I could tell you. Wish I could remember what two teams he was talking about. But one of the teams was going to play in Shelby County, and the other was going to play in St. Clair County. That was all false. Both teams were going to play in Jefferson County. I think both teams are out of Jefferson County. And if you go back a while back, and I did a show primarily on AI, and I told you, AI is only what a human feeds it. There is no entity, no metal, there's no man-made entity that can think for itself. It can't. These super hubs that they're building, I think one is about to be built in Bessemer, Alabama, that they're building for AI, all the information is fed into them. Man. And when I talk about AI, I always go back to the Terminator. And those bots were programmed. And I'm starting to understand that even us human beings, a lot of them, especially the ones with low IQs, are being programmed for ignorance, for evil. That's a story for another day. I just wanted to share that because I heard it this morning on the radio. And I think another thing you was talking about in Quebec, Canada, you have a ministry of, I'm just going to say a ministry of evil. That's not what it is. I I forget the term they used. And like I said, I didn't show prep for this. I just heard this on the way home from my daughter's school. But I'm just going to say a ministry of evil where they're going to ban, excuse me, public prayer and any public display of worship of believing. In other words, if you're a Muslim, you can't do your Muslim prayer in public. If you're a Christian, you can't do the things we do as Christians in public. I'm gonna be honest with you. I gotta do a show on that because as a kid, and listen, nothing is new under the sun. As a kid, I do remember. I don't know if it was one state or multiple states that they wanted to ban public prayer in schools and um, something else. And I'm not gonna lie to you. At the time, I'm like, mm, I don't mind for the simple fact, as a Christian, I don't want to witness a Buddhist or a Muslim or any other individual doing what they do, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want to see me pray. So let's just make it easy for everybody, and no, nobody does it. As I grew up a little bit and got a little bit older, I was like, wait a minute, in elementary school, in kindergarten and elementary school, we said a prayer every morning. We pledge allegiance to the flag, and there was nothing wrong with that. But living in the area, well, growing up in the area that I did, Easterbourg, Alabama, back in the 80s, this area was probably 70-80% military, with Anderson Army Depot, Fort McClellan, Pelham Range, etc. So you had a lot of foreigners in this area, a lot of foreigners. And I mean, when I was in elementary school, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be out of the box for us to get a new student once a week, and this student happen to be Chinese, Israeli, Pakistani, etc. That was not out of the realm, and I wish I could talk to some of my old elementary classmates, and they'll tell you that that was true. So I said that to say this: as that got more and more prevalent, I'm like, well, you know, you got a whole bunch of religions influxing the country, our area. So I went back to thinking, maybe it'd be a good thing that we each and every individual says silent prayer if you want to do that, and not make it public. And I've actually stuck with that thought process throughout my life up until adulthood. But to ban it publicly out on the street, and you will be arrested if you pray, if you do your Muslim prayer or your Buddhist prayer, you will be arrested and charged with a crime. I think that's insane. I think that is insane. And do your due diligence and look this up. It's Quebec, Canada, and it's the Ministry of, oh my God, I can't think. The Ministry of Evil. Put it to you like that. And check it out. And let me know what you think. Uh let's get into the show. This is Conference Championship Week. Ever since Saturday night, things have been crazy. I have been sick of hearing about the Lane Kiffin deal. And, when you saw his departure and, the AD doing the things that he did, which I agree with the AD 100%. I am a fan of Lane Kiffin, I am. But I am not a fan of his departure from Ole Miss. I'm not a fan of that. He did say he confided in Coach Saban. I wasn't, and I'm not a fan of Coach Nick Saban. I'm sorry, I'm not. I know he's worshipped in Alabama. He's did a lot for the university that I do love, but I'm not a fan of Nick Saban. Never have been. Anyway, let me put it to you like this. I think Lane Kiffin's departure from Ole Miss was horrendous. I think the things he said during and post his departure were horrendous. I think the AD and the faculty and the fans of Ole Miss handled, the situation with grace, and God bless them. I hope they go on and win a national championship this year with Pete Golden. I do. When you chase money, it's not even chasing the dream. When you chase money, when you don't need it, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. Now, to each his own. You go get that bag if it's presented to you. You go get it. I'm just not a fan of that. That's greedy. That's repulsive. But when you let down kids, man, who have fought their asses off for you, got you to the point where this university has never been before. What are they, 11-1, 12-1, or something like that? Probably gonna have a first round bye, or even not a first round bye, but a host the first game of the playoff in Oxford, Mississippi. And you got the audacity to think, well, I got these guys to this point, so I'm gonna coach them. No, you going to the enemy next year, which gonna give you plenty of time to recruit the players that are on that team and some coaches to come with you. And all the guys that you've been recruiting throughout the year for Ole Miss, now you're going to be directing them to LSU. And you think that was right. Dummy. Damn dummy. Lane Kiffin, I like you, dude, but that was a dumbass move. I'm sorry. Dumbass move, man. And speaking of that, and I promise you I'm going to get to the show, I just got to get this off my mind. So, an individual off Twitter, yeah, it was off Twitter or X, responded to my last show, Rivalry Week, and I said something to the matter of if I was a betting man, I would have made a lot of money that weekend, and I would have a lot of money. And I said that the reason, because my brain is like the BCS computers, I know football. Well, this individual came at me, and I don't know if it was a real human being or a bot, AI, whoever, I don't know. But it got me to thinking, dude, I'm going to put it to you, and I'm going to give you a little bit of context. Because, very few people on this earth that's still alive know me. I'm going to give you three names: Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, and Charlie Wise. Now, what does these three individuals got to do with my last show and what I said? I'm going to tell you. Lane Kiffin and Charlie Wise, I don't know if they ever played a game of football in their life. I really don't, but I do know they come from a football background. Their fathers were coaches, and damn good coaches, geniuses when it comes to putting together offensive and defensive packages. Geniuses. Now, football hasn't changed much over the years, but when you can scheme a little bit different, man, these guys were geniuses. Nick Saban did play. I think he played his collegiately at Kent State, I want to say. I think I'm correct on that. So he did play. And he played DB. And defensively, there's very few minds that's better than Nick Saban when it comes to a defensive scheme. Kirby Smart come to mind. He played DB at Georgia, and it's one or two more. But I brought these three men up for a reason. I look at these three men when it comes to X's and O's as geniuses when it comes to the sport of football. Geniuses. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never coached on a collegiate level, never coached in the NFL, blah blah blah. But to me, in my opinion, these three men and I could sit in a room and we could get along and put together some packages. Because I know football. I know X's and O's. So to this bot or to this ignorant human being or whoever that you was that wanted to respond to me on Twitter, I know football. Period, bar none. I don't know how to basket weave. I don't know how to underwater weld. I don't know how to fly to space and put together a space station. I don't know how to do any of those things, but I know football. Period. I know football. I know X's and O's, and I know what I'm talking about. So, with that being said, I'm already 15 minutes into this, and I ain't been doing nothing but damn rambling. Let me get to this. We're gonna start with the SEC. The SEC championship is going to be Alabama versus Georgia. It's going to be a rematch. I think out of the last 13 times, Georgia's only beat Alabama once. Throw all that out the door. It does not matter. Alabama's beat up. I'm pretty sure Georgia's got a few people out. This is for the SEC championship. Now, normally I would say it don't mean anything, and I wish Alabama hadn't made it to that. Having a 2-loss record, I wish they would have made it, because what does it matter? Both of these teams are in the playoff right now. What does it matter? So Alabama is going to risk not making the playoff. Georgia's going to make it regardless, win or lose. I just wish this game wouldn't be played. And I think I read somewhere where a ridiculous comment where somebody said both teams should forfeit. So both of them go to playoff. It's not going to happen. I just wish they wouldn't play the game. But these guys are competitors. And I expect it to be a doggone good game. Not going to give a prediction. Because I honestly, I haven't seen the injury reports. I do know Jam Miller and the tight end for Alabama's out. That lets me know that Alabama's chances of offensive production went down dramatically. So if you want to compute that in the old BCS brain here, defense is on point. I didn't see any injuries on defense. I do know one guy may have to sit out the first half because of a targeting against Auburn, but defensively, Alabama's on point. They are going to keep Alabama in this game if Alabama's going to win. Offensively, you either going to have some young cats get up and step up, which in Alabama for the last 25 years, it's been next man up. So it's going to have to be next man up for Alabama to win this game. Next, we got the ACC Championship. Now, this game right here is I almost didn't do this podcast because of this game here, and I'm going to tell you why. So I've been talking to a few guys all week, since Saturday, about the ACC Championship. So I had in my mind now, because things ain't like they used to be. In my mind, I said, okay, it's probably gonna be Miami, Virginia. Pitt got beat. So Miami, Virginia, Georgia Tech. Do you know who's in the ACC Championship game? Virginia and Duke. Duke is a 4 or 5 loss team, which I like Duke, but they're a 4 or 5 loss team. Huh? How did we get here? So you telling me Duke is going to represent before Miami and Georgia Tech? How did we get here? Dude, this game, and I couldn't find it. I did some searches on the internet, and I almost didn't find it. Who was playing in the ACC Championship game? That's why I almost didn't do the show, because I'm like, I can't be professional and do a championship week show and not have all the conferences represented. I couldn't find anything on it. So when I finally found something on it, it had Duke and Virginia. And I'm like, wow. NCAA has gotten to the bottom of the barrel. Mark this, 2025 AC of the NCAA is bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. We love it. We gonna watch it, but it's bottom of the barrel, man. You look at the Lane Kiffin situation in Virginia versus Duke in ACC championship game. Jesus Christ, man. NCAA is bottom of the barrel. Big Ten championship, Ohio State and Indiana. I can't wait for this game. Can't wait. I hope it's not the first one, because I don't want these guys playing 11 o'clock snowfield. Well, they're going to play in Indianapolis. It's going to be inside, but please don't let this be the first game. Let it be the 2:30 or the 6:30 game, because I really want to watch it. I really do. And that's the Big Ten championship. The Big 12, BYU, Texas Tech. Texas Tech has been a big story this year. If you know anything about that team, they went out and did some transfer things unconventionally. They went to Division II, Division I AA, and they put together a pretty good squad this year. I'm not sure who beat them, but Texas Tech got a good team, and they should be probably one of the hosts, get a bye week and be one of the hosts. I don't see BYU beating them. I like BYU as a squad, but I don't see BYU beating Texas Tech. I just don't see it. Going to Conference USA. Conference USA is going to consist of two universities that's probably 30 miles and probably 60 miles from where I am right now. Kennesaw State and JSU, Jack State. I'm going to watch that because I got a nephew playing with Jack State, Rod Elston. Good luck to you, bro. Going for a conference championship, bring that ring home. I like Kennesaw State. I do. My son was actually recruited from Kennesaw State for a hot second. So I like both programs. I'm not a fan historically of Jack State. Once my nephew graduates, I'm going back to hating JSU. There's a long story about that. If you're curious, ask me and I'll tell you. But as long as, I've had some classmates, kids graduate from Jack State. I rooted for them. I'm going to root for my nephew. But after that, I'm going to go back to hating you, Jack State. And there ain't no doubt about it. The American Athletic Conference, AAC, it's going to be Tulane versus North Texas. I am a fan of Tulane. Always been a fan of Tulane since I was a little kid. It's something about that puke green and the way they have the ocean wave with the eyes on it. I was always curious as a kid, but I've always liked Tulane and that puke green. And they have had a wonderful program for the past 5-6 years. Now, their coach, and I think his name is Summerall, he's going to be leaving for Florida, I want to say. And so I don't know how all this is going to shake out with them in this conference championship. When you got your coach leave, I don't know if he's going to stay in coach or not. I hope they have a better deal with him and the Tulane program than Lane Kiffin had with Ole Miss and the LSU deal. That was despicable. All right, the Mid-American Conference. I will not be watching this game. I will watch a replay of it throughout the week. Western Michigan versus Miami of Ohio. This conference highlights their games, I want to say every Tuesday. At some point of the season, they get to where they play their highlighted games on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And when I get off work every night, those nights, I watch them teams. So I've watched a whole bunch of MAC football this year. Watch a whole bunch of MAC football every year because on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, ain't nothing else on TV. So I watch MAC football. And I've been a fan of MAC football over the years, with my favorite being, I want to say his name is Coach Gullich. Well, I want to say Ohio University. They have the green and white. Yeah, Ohio University. That was my favorite team out of the MAC. They're not in the conference championship, but I will be rooting for both of these teams. I do like Western Michigan and Miami of Ohio. So good luck to both of these teams. I want to say the Midwestern Conference, Boise State and UNLV, not interested. I wish both teams the best, and I hope, you win, but I am not interested. I'm just not. I know UNLV, what's that coach? He coached Florida. for a while. I think he's a UNLV. So good luck to him. Good luck to his team. Um, I'm not interested. Just not. I'm sorry. And finally, Sun Belt Conference Championship. James Madison and Troy. Here's another Alabama team in the conference championship. I think that's 3: Jack State, Alabama, and Troy. So you got 3 Alabama teams that's in the conference championship. And it may be more. I think Alabama State, they in the SWAC. They may be playing for conference championship. Not sure. It don't have any implications on the playoffs, so that's why I didn't add it. But the Sun Belt Conference Championship, James Madison and Troy. I watched James Madison twice, and I watched Troy once. Both decent squads. Uh, don't know if it's going to be televised. I'm pretty sure it will be. Don't know if I'll be able to watch it, but I will be supporting my state team. And like I said, good luck to all these guys, man. There's a lot on my mind that I'm not going to get into. I've already gone long enough with this. But college football, as we know it, and I've been saying this all season long, college football as we once knew it is dead. And it seems like it's getting worse and worse as the days go on. I just don't know what else to say, man. We're going to the conference championship. I'm pretty sure it's going to be controversy surrounding the placements when they do the 12-team playoff thing. And I want you to keep this in mind. If you don't remember anything else I say from this show, remember this. This BCS mind has been on point since they started this playoff garbage, which I wasn't against it in the early days. I think when you had 4 teams, I wasn't against it. Anytime you change, anytime anything changes, you're gonna have people who are gonna be against it. I wasn't necessarily against it, against the 4 teams. As long as you kept the BCS model in play, and they did it to my knowledge. I want to say they went to 8 teams at one point, and then now it's 12. I just want you to keep this in mind. Out of these teams, I just named for the conference championships, I see 1, 2 on this list that's capable of winning the national championship. Only 2. Now, I'm gonna rattle off 2 more. I take that back. I see 3 teams. No, 2. I can't add Alabama. I don't think Alabama's a national championship caliber team this year. Georgia, Ohio State, I do. At Ole Miss, at Notre Dame, at Texas. And out of that bunch, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to admit, but out of that bunch that I just named, Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, and Texas, which I don't even know if Texas will get in or not. One of those teams, and possibly Oklahoma. I don't look at Oklahoma as a winning national championship, but you can add them. But it's only 4 teams, maybe 5 with Notre Dame that's capable of winning a national championship this year. I hope Texas get in because I do think that they are capable. I doubt it. They got 3 losses, playing in the hardest conference in the NCAA football. Alabama gonna have 3 losses, playing in the hardest conference in football, and none of those gonna make the playoff. So we're gonna have some uninteresting games, and it's gonna be one of those 4 teams winning that championship: Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, possibly Texas, Ole Miss, or Texas A&M. Mark my words on that. And with that said, let me close up. As always, you guys be blessed. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I will see you in 3, 2, 1.